Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Flex Appeal podcast. My name is Ryan. I am your host of the future #1 fitness podcast in the entire world. So if you're watching this and you can see our faces, hello. If you are just listening to this whilst you're on the treadmill or you're on your way to work or you're out for a lovely little walk, hello. Today, I have with me Kai. I'm not going to talk about Kai. Kai is going to talk about Kai. Tell me about yourself.
Hello, I'm Kai. I am a videographer, photographer, video editor, and I call myself a filmmaker to make myself
I love that word.
Good word.
And how did you... Well, let's start off. So we've worked together in the past. We filmed a documentary.
We have.
Because I ran this little thing called the London Marathon. Right. It was a little part one. 8 of them. It was a little part one last year, and we filmed a documentary, and I think that was fantastic.
If you haven't watched that, by the way, go and watch it, because Ryan was giving it all the big and about it being a little park run, and then could barely walk up the stairs into the hotel afterwards, and it was hilarious.
It was a tough time. I was in pain. But we'll get on to me another day and marathon training and stuff another day. So let's start from the beginning. So you're now a full-time videographer, photographer, video editor. You're not a photographer, are you? No. Do you do?
I still do a few events and
okay, fine.
whatnot.
So you do take some photos. Yeah. So you're now full time. This is your full time job income, which you were saying last year was your goal.
That was the original task, was just to get it to a point where this was where all the money came from to pay the bills and whatnot, and then sort of figure it out and move on from there.
Love that. Okay, yeah. And what were you doing before you were doing that, out of interest?
And just warehouse jobs, delivery driving, customer service. Nothing I'd wanted to do.
Did anything kind of snap for you to go, nah, I need to do something that I enjoy? Because, and we were talking about this earlier on, there is so few people out there who can say they genuinely make money and have a career of something they enjoy, or there's something they're fulfilled from. A lot of people just kind of go to work, come home, hate their lives. So you're in a very, very fortunate position that you do something that you absolutely love, right? Was there something that you kind of went, nah, I'm not waiting here anymore, I'm just going to go for it?
Mostly just mental health issues. It's like, I'm not getting any happier. Yeah. And I'm not going to. Yeah. So I may as well just go for it and see what happens.
You're young as well, This is what my girlfriend said this to me, is if you're going to take risks, it's going to be when you're young. The best thing you can do is just start. Well, I think that's one of your quotes that you say. The best thing you can do is just start. Yeah. Because, like you say, you never know. But also the risk involved in that is a lot lower. Is you don't have a family. You don't have all of the stuff that maybe you would be dealing with when you're 40. So why not just do it now? I like that.
Yeah, exactly. You've not really got anything to lose other than time, but also at the same time as saying that, you could lose time by not going for it.
Well, as long as you learn a lesson from it as well, right? I love that as long as you learn a lesson from something, it's never an L. You never lose if you always take a lesson from something.
I don't think you can go backwards. You can only really go. Well, you can only ever go forwards. If you by trying something and failing, you haven't gone backwards in life. Yeah. Because you've learned a lot. You've learned what not to do and what you can potentially do going forward again. So.
You've got to take that lesson, as it were, and because I said this to a friend of mine, and we were talking about how he was dealing with a lot of things, and I said, well, eventually you'll see it as a win, and I think this about when Abigail, my sister, passed away. It's obviously not a win, right? But I do see the fact that happened molded me into somebody else, and it changed my perspective on life. And that to me is a win, So even the most negative thing I've ever dealt with, that was a win in a sense, because I learned a lesson from it and it grew me as a person.
Yeah, you wouldn't have been in the same place now if that didn't happen.
Absolutely. I definitely wouldn't have run a marathon.
As much as you would have preferred that not to happen, you wouldn't be there now, probably, without it happening.
Exactly. So being a videographer, what does that look like? Because people, this is a business podcast as well as a fitness podcast. #1, eventually, fitness podcast in the world. But, we'll also want to talk about business. So that's what we're talking about today, is more the business side of things. So people who are watching this who maybe don't really understand what a videographer is, or what does that look like for you?
It varies day to day, week to week. The majority of the time it's at a desk staring at a screen.
Yeah.
There's not as much camera work as you'd like.
Yeah.
But I guess that depends at where you're at. It's mostly just editing. But you could be last year I went to Norway and to Germany to film a woman called Kit Burks who's walking the length of Europe for suicide prevention.
Yes, yeah, we've talked about this and we want to talk about this today, yeah.
Or I could be at a wedding filming or photographing or an event or anything.
No day is the same.
No, which is why it's fun.
I like that. So for people who don't know anything, who don't know much about me, you should know a little bit by now. So when I first started off as a self-employed person, I was a videographer and photographer. I worked with a few TikTokers. I worked for a few businesses, and I maybe I couldn't make it work because I wasn't in the right mindset. I was very much I'm going to go self-employed because I don't want to work a 9 to 5 or a normal job. I was working in a really bad retail job, and then Abigail died, and I was like, nah, just going to leave. So I then became a videographer, and I think that I bit off way more than I could chew. But alongside that, I think going self-employed was really, really difficult, and I think that people don't realise that. Would you agree?
Well, yeah, you work for someone, you just get paid. You do your one job and you get paid, but you work for yourself. You've got to do your own taxes. You've got to pay yourself. You've got to find your own work. You've got to market your service. You've got to do your own job.
Yep.
You've got to have a social life. You've got to try and sleep.
What's one of those?
You've got to do normal people things, which is, granted, much easier said than done.
Well, so what I think people go wrong with is they work for them. They say I'm self-employed, but they don't work for themselves. They just happen to be a self-employed individual. And what I mean by that is that they're not doing all of the work of a business. So when I went self-employed, I was very much just doing the job. I wasn't marketing. I wasn't setting myself goals. I wasn't particularly doing my taxes correctly, probably. All sorted now, by the way, HMRC. But I wasn't in that mindset of I am my own boss as well. I was very much in that mindset of, I don't have to work. I don't know if that was maybe just my bad mindset, but I was very much in this mindset of, I don't have to go to work. I don't have to get up today. I can work till 3 o'clock in the morning. And I became very unhealthy, actually, because it was also COVID. So it was lockdown and everything like that. So I became very unhealthy during my years when I was first self-employed, I think. And I think a lot of people don't manage their time very well. Maybe. Do you have like a set schedule of what you're doing when you're doing it? Or do you try to do that?
Well, I think if you've got a week of editing and you're spending a week at a desk, it's a little bit easier. But if you're in London one day, you come back, you've got a day's edit, you're then in Birmingham or Manchester or whatever, you've got to leave at different times in the morning, you come back at different times in the evening. Just finding the routine is really hard. But I think also not working when you don't need to, like not forcing work, is more productive than sitting down and trying to do work at a computer if you don't even.
It's taking time off of the business.
Yeah, which is hard.
I think that's so. There's in, on, and off. Have you ever heard of that? Working in the business, working on the business, and off the business.
No.
So I did a mentorship last year, and it was very interesting because it was time in the business. So for me, having time in the business is doing check-ins, is training clients, is physically being in here doing something that is bringing me in revenue. That is my job. And then time on the business is, the marketing, the back end client stuff. I've just moved to a new app. So it's tidying up in here, repainting the walls, stuff like that. And then time off the business is one of the more important things because I find I can't switch off. And that is your time away and out of the business, which actually benefits the business more. Because like you say, it's better for you to take time off and stop working rather than force it and do not necessarily a bad job, but forcing yourself to do something. It becomes a chore. So for you, I guess it would be working in the business is physically doing the editing, physically doing the filming. Working on it would be building up your own channel and, doing whatever else you're doing to build your business, which isn't physically delivering the service that you provide. I
think at the same time, though, I don't know whether it's the same for you, because I know you do fitness as a hobby as well for yourself.
Well, yeah, something like that.
Something like that. I do it. I started doing it because it was fun and it was a hobby. And now it's also my job. So trying to find the balance between job and hobby is quite tricky.
So there's two very contradicting arguments, I think, for this, where you've got, if you find a hobby and you can make it into a job, you'll never work a day in your life. But then there's the other argument of it, of never make your hobby your job, because you'll hate your hobby eventually. And I think, I don't know which camp I really fall in. I still really enjoy fitness. But I don't do it because it's my job. I enjoy going to the gym. It makes me feel good. But things like gaming, or back in the day, I was an airsoft player. I don't know if you've ever heard of airsoft. It's like paintball, but 1 million times better. But I was doing sponsored videos for sites. I was doing sponsored videos for different airsoft brands. I was marshalling the game, so I was running the games, and it became unfun. I wasn't enjoying it anymore. It wasn't a good time because it was plaguing my life. And I feel like that'd be the same with gaming sometimes. You see all these successful Twitch streamers, and you've got to wonder, if they don't play a specific game, they're not going to get as many views. Is it as fun still?
I think that's why when I originally started, because I was still working like other jobs. I was working at home base whilst I was trying to build it up. But I wasn't like forcing it. I was just letting it happen, which sort of still allowed it to be fun in a way.
Do you think that hindered you in a way, though? Because you weren't... So, because again, that's two camps of... So I've always said to people, people have said to me, when you first start as a PT, a lot of people have a second job and they'll work in, retail, or they'll work in, some sort of labouring thing or something part-time whilst they build up their PT the other half. I think that if you do that, you can't... If you're not putting 100% into something, then it's never going to work, isn't true, but it's a lot harder for it to grow. But if you were kind of working part-time on it and letting it happen, do you think that was a good idea, or do you think that was, I should have done something different about that?
I think it was necessary. I think I would have disappeared. I'd have had no money, so I needed to work part-time to sustain it anyway. But also I think just letting it happen, I just don't like putting pressure on stuff, because that's what makes it not so fun. If you get to a point where literally you're under so much pressure that this job is no longer fun. Don't get me wrong, a job cannot be fun 24/7. If the job's fun 100% of the time, what is it and where do I get it?
I'd love to know if people who do have jobs that they just don't feel like it. I've got to believe that even Mr. Beast, right, doesn't enjoy aspects of what he does. And I'm not saying you don't like it, but it doesn't have to be like, I think that if you find something that you enjoy every single aspect of everything as it's happening, that's really hard. But I think that you can look back on it and go, actually, I really enjoyed that. Like, I look back on school, I hated school, right? But I look back on it and I go, actually, I quite enjoyed that and that and that and that and that and this. But I think that when you start a business, I think, there's two camps where you kind of let it happen organically, or you put all your eggs in one basket and you absolutely go for it, and that's plan A. And there is no such thing as plan B or C or D. That's it. And you've obviously fallen into camp one, where you worked part-time, and now, but now you're full-time. So it worked out in the end.
Yeah, and I think that's where it worked, because also I didn't want to go all in on something. Because originally when I started pursuing it, I put the majority of my energy into doing weddings. And I don't even advertise for weddings anymore. If somebody asks me to do one, if somebody comes to me because they know I've done it,
you do mine. Just saying.
Yeah, I'll do that, but I don't want to push it, because I did however many, and I realized that this isn't that fun.
What's the craziest wedding you ever did? Have you ever had like a really crazy wedding?
No, not really crazy. I've been asked, is this the first time you've done this multiple times? But that's because people don't. I think people think of traditional wedding photographers, they're like ordering people around and shouting at people and getting people in position.
Oi, bride! Get over there!
I always marketed myself as like a candid, like in the background, documentary style. Don't really get in anybody's way. Nobody even knows I'm there.
That's what I'd like from a wedding video and from photos, is just catching people off guard. Don't get me wrong, you've got the staged bride's family and groom's family and stuff. I did a wedding when I was a videographer. I did a wedding, and it was the maddest thing I've ever done for business. Anyway, I was a second shooter for somebody. I went down to Stowe in the Wold, really nice place, but they'd hired out this like manor house, big house, just for the groom and his like groomsmen and his family to like stay in for like a couple of days. Yeah. And I got there and I was like, ready to shoot like the groom prep and everything. And he was like, it was a special cigarette that he offered me. And he was like, oh, do you want one of these? And I was like, no, I'm good, thank you. He's like, do you want a fryer? We're cooking food now. Do you want some bacon and eggs? And I was like, no, I'm okay, thank you. He's like, are you sure you don't want anything? Do you want a beer? It was 8:00 in the morning. And I was like, no, I'm okay. And he was like, no, it's okay. And how these guys got married, I don't know if they're legally allowed to be married, because I think they were so inebriated that it couldn't have been a real I do. But that was a crazy time. And it was good fun, but it was just, a bit different. So, business
special
caveat, not caveat, pivoting from that. So, what is your favorite thing that you've done now that you work for yourself? And you can be slightly picky, right? Like you can pick what you do. Whereas when you work for some companies, even in the videography space, like you are doing what they want you to do. What is something that you are really proud of?
Just traveling. I wanted to travel before, and I think that was half the idea of it, because you can travel and get paid and work at the same time. But when I went to Norway in July of last year, that was just the coolest thing. Yeah, I'm in Norway in the middle of nowhere, and the northernmost point of Europe. There's reindeers running around everywhere. We've rented this really cool electric car that's stupidly fast. I'm getting paid to be here, and I'm doing what I want to be doing.
It's like every kid's dream, isn't it? Yeah, that is dream life right there. So that was, and let's, we can pivot to that. So you were in Norway. Why were you in Norway? Let's talk about it.
So filming, well, we filmed sort of like a pilot episode of getting to Norway, and then we filmed episode 1 of Kit Burke's walking the entire length of Europe for suicide prevention, which is
ongoing,
8,500 kilometers ongoing expedition. Bit nuts.
That's a long way. That's a long walk.
Put the Instagram on the screen, Ryan.
Yeah, Instagram on the screen somewhere.
Yeah, up there. Yeah.
And how's that going so not from a Kit point of view, because obviously you're not her, though it'd be very interesting to get her on the podcast eventually. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. How is that going from your perspective as a videography business owner? How has that helped you, do you think?
For one, it allowed me to go full time, because I knew it was around a year-long project with a pretty solid, like, monthly consistent wage. So that then was like, I can not work part-time now.
Yeah.
And then I can also I can work on other aspects of business, find different jobs from there, and just know that that's there. But it's sort of my first proper job within the space.
It's a big project, first big project, isn't it?
Yeah. Everything else was little things. Well, like I think the marathon thing was that, and then I'd worked with a guy called James Ward, who was sort of in the same sports space as well. So that's sort of where it's been going. But then, this was the first proper big job.
What do you think? So what do you think would be the direction you're going as a business, as a videographer? Do you think that that's something you want to do, is like long-term, big, cool projects in the fitness or / wellness? I guess you could call that like a wellness lifestyle challenge sort of thing.
Like expeditions, charity work, people doing mad stuff. I've always been quite interested in.
Well, it's because it's bloody interesting.
Yeah.
Don't want to film someone, no offense, don't want to film someone working at their desk from 9 to 5. You want to film someone who's doing an 8,500 kilometre walk. How far is she in now?
5,000
She's 5,000 kilometres in. Well, that's not a bad crack,
Nah, she's over halfway. But she's also changed the route, so I don't actually know how long it is total.
How'd you put that in Google? I'm going to walk from Norway to... Where's she walking to? Italy?
Gavdos. So there's Greece, and then there's Crete, which is obviously a Greek island.
Well, she can't walk to Crete.
No, she has to get... There's a couple boats.
She's going to have to swim.
Yeah.
That'd be a good crack.
I don't know. It's a long way. It's a very long...
So she's going to Crete. That's the end destination.
There's a smaller island off of Crete. So she's got to walk to Greece, then get a boat to Crete, then walk Crete, and then get another boat to Gavdos, and that's where.
Well, what a place to finish! And when's she going to be finished by?
May or June, I reckon.
Bloody hell, that'd be gorgeous little holiday at the end of that.
Yeah,
that'd be nice and warm as well.
Yeah,
I was looking at an all-inclusive in Greece at that time of year.
Well, see you there.
Lovely.
Norway was quite cold, so it'd be much nicer.
I think I'd rather. I don't know if I'd rather walk in the cold or in the heat.
Well, it's a year. People we keep getting comments on stuff like this. People are like, "Oh, why are you walking in? Why did you start in the winter?" And we're like, "Well, for a start, she's in Germany, so she's halfway through.
Yeah,
so she definitely didn't start in the winter.
Yeah,
she started in July, in the peak of summer in Norway,
it's still snowing.
It was actually, well, the wind was cold, but there was points where she was struggling with the heat. But 24 hours of daylight in Norway at that time as well. So.
Well, the thing is, actually, so the reason why I'd rather walk when it was hot, right? I don't think I'd rather do it when I'm cold, so I wasn't about to say that. But thinking about it, so being a first aider and working with cadets and stuff, I know that heat injuries are actually very, very common when it's cold because you put on so many layers, you walk, you're sweating, and you don't realise that you're sweating so much because you're warming yourself up. And actually, you're likely to get heat stroke sometimes from walking in the cold. So it happens. And so this is kind of your... Do you think you found what you want to do in terms of, like we say, you want to do challenges, you want to do kind of charity work, cool stuff? I think a lot of videographers, and this was my problem, is when I started out, I was doing sporadic stuff every so often.
Yeah.
There was no common wage, or there was no like wage for the day. Or for the month, sorry. I didn't know how much I was going to make at the end of the month. I didn't know when I was going to get paid next. I was just kind of accepting random jobs for different prices as well, because I didn't know how to price myself, which we'll talk about in a second. But I just, I guess, is that something, because it's long term, do you prefer doing things like that? Oh, God, what's the kind of question I'm trying to ask? I'm trying to ask a good question. There is a good question in there. What does your future look like, I guess, as a videographer?
In an ideal world, more of these. Like if there was a world where these just come one after another, then that'd be it.
Yeah.
I just love documenting cool people doing cool things.
Yeah. And I guess that's also kind of a reason to get into it and keep getting into it, is because you are literally telling stories. That's why I got into, I'd love to be a vlogger. I've got about 17 vlogs on my phone ready to upload, but I just never do them. I'm ready to edit, but I never do them because I can't be asked to edit them. But I love telling my story.
Yeah. And
I think you become more of a filmmaker, storyteller than just the odd video, like the odd video for, a brand that you're just going to promote once or twice, and just they're going to use it as an advert. So
the storytelling is definitely the most interesting part of it. And like storytelling and making people aware of whatever the charity's being charitable for.
How much has she raised so far? Can you say?
Like 20 grand.
That's not bad. And it's for suicide prevention.
Yeah.
And that's the name of the charity.
So she's raising money for Calm and ADHD because she has ADHD and bipolar, and ADHD is for ADHD and autism.
Yeah,
and then Calm is campaigning against living miserably. The challenge.
I didn't know that's what Calm stood for.
The challenge is called Stride Beyond Silence.
Yes.
And then there's potentially more plans for that in the future, but I won't say anything about
that. All right. Well, next time you're on the episode on the podcast. So I mentioned it just now. Pricing. We talked about it downstairs. Obviously, I'm not going to ask you how much you earn every month, but
you guys get paid.
What? So how did you find out what to charge for what you were doing? Because I still struggle. I've been a PT now nearly 4 years. I've had the studio nearly 6 months. Do you know I've nearly had the studio 6 months? And in March it'll be 6 months. So I still struggle now with pricing and figuring out, should I up my prices? Should I lower my prices? Am I charging the right amount? When I was a videographer, oh my God, I didn't know how much to charge. Because how much am I worth an hour? So did you, what, actually, pivoting from that, what was the biggest struggle when you first started going self-employed? What was your biggest struggle?
Knowing where to start. Mm-hmm. Just getting like the first few jobs, just getting the first few reps in. Yeah. Finding the first work, because I think once you get to a certain amount of jobs and they sort of just sort themselves out in a way.
And then you've got a show reel of what you've done.
Yeah.
And it's very hard to approach someone and say, yeah, I'm £1,000 a day when you've never worked.
Yeah. And they're like, what can you do for me? And you're like, oh, I can only convince you. I can't actually show you what I can do for you.
Whereas your reel will actually show you what you can do. So, yeah, finding the work and probably starting is the hardest part with everything, isn't it?
Pricing wise as well, though. For me personally, or for photography, videography, whatever, I'd say definitely do work for free.
Okay, I like that.
Because if you don't and you haven't got a portfolio, you won't have one. Because you can't, unless you can convince somebody to pay you to make something for them, or you've made stuff for yourself before, then it's quite hard to get.
Have you done any TF? Well, I guess you have, but have you heard of TFP? Time for portfolio. You ever heard of that?
That's essentially what I'm talking. Yeah. So
it is a really good point, actually. And I'd say this in the fitness industry as well. If you've got friends, family, people who you know, train them for free, give them something away for free, do the work to get the evidence. You need the social proof, right? Because you could be the best video editor and the best videographer or the best photographer or the best PT in the world, but if you've got no proof to show that, how are people going to know? Specifically in I guess the content creation space, because if you're just going straight in at £1,000 a day or £500 a day or whatever people's day rates are, how do I know that that's going to be worth the money? You know, so like you say, TFP, time for portfolio. I'm in a couple of time for portfolio groups on Facebook because I want to get into modeling this year, and I know you're going to say I have a face for radio, not for modeling, but I would like to start doing some modeling and some work with people. But yeah, but pivoting from getting work for free, how did you then decide I'm worth this much?
Start small. I just started low and gradually built up.
Because that's what a lot of people, and I found this in the wedding space at least, especially during/after COVID, where I was quoting X, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, we've actually got a student who's going to do it for like £60," and I'm like, "For how long?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, the whole day," and I'm like, "They're doing £60 for the whole day? I can't compete."
I found, especially with weddings though, you can charge £300, which is obviously nothing for a wedding, or you can charge a couple of grand for a day, which is sort of
that's kind of the industry standard.
Yeah. But I found some people would rather pay more because I feel like they trust you more.
Well, there is a word. It's pricing power, isn't it? It's like if you go in at not a ridiculously high price, but if you're going at a higher price, someone's going to go, well, they probably do this a lot and make this much money a lot, so they must be decent. If I go in at, say, as a PT, I charge £25 an hour, and then you've got another person who charges £250 a month, who are you going to hire? Potentially, if you care about the value, most likely the more expensive person, because they've got the reason to charge that. If you lowball, also, I think the thing is, if you lowball sometimes, someone accepts so quickly because they're like, oh my God, that's so cheap. They're like, I could have probably got an extra double the price.
Just start high. People, they'll only go down or say no.
Yeah, it's true. That's a really good one though. They'll only say no. What's the worst thing that can happen? They can only say no.
Yeah.
You ever heard of rejection therapy?
Yeah.
Where you just go and ask people for the maddest things.
Yeah.
And like people get on the bus and they say, I don't have any money. Can you give me a free ticket? And it's just rejection therapy. I feel like that's gone. So
I think you've just got to have a bit of like delusional confidence sometimes, which again is easier said than done, but that's just the going for it thing.
Delusional confidence. I like that.
Fake it till you make it.
That is the name of the episode, delusional confidence. Got to be a bit delulu. I think that's a really good point though, because I think you have to. So I've had some really tough conversations with people recently, and I think you have to handle that fear of rejection sometimes to be in the business space and continue to be in the business space, because you can't always be up all the time. We've talked about this earlier off camera when we were training. You cannot be up all the time. You cannot have every single week, 365 days a year, and not every single one of those days can be a good day. So when you start in business and when you're established in business, you have to have those tough conversations. You have to sometimes throw it a little bit out of the box to really get your worth, and you'll get your confidence up as well. I like the saying of confidence is the key to success. I think that's the thing. You have to be confident to just approach someone and go, yeah, I charge this much and this is what I can do for you. And if you don't want it, you don't want it. But I'm going to offer it to you anyway.
How do you think you gain confidence, though, without being delusional?
Come into our QDX Health and Fitness training hub or online. No, I think... Oh, that is a bloody good question, actually. You're meant to be the one getting interviewed, not me. How would you gain confidence? Just by doing it.
Putting in the reps.
Putting in the reps.
Putting in the reps. More reps, more confidence.
But that is so true, though. Like so confidence, what is it? Comfort zones kill anything, right? So, and I don't know if we're taught or conditioned to be in our comfort zones all the time. I don't know if I agree with that. But like, so many people I know are so comfortable that actually it's to their detriment. They're so comfortable it's detrimental to them. And if you just do something, and I'm not saying if you're afraid of heights, go and jump out of a plane with a parachute. I'm not saying that you have to do that. But if you're afraid of heights, maybe do something very small. Ethan said this in the Christmas special, Kaizen, which is a Japanese proverb, and it just means small steps every day, or small it's along the lines of very small improvement every single day is how you get successful, is how you become better. Yeah. It's not one big leap, it's lots of little things that you can put in place. So if you were to say, I am afraid of heights, and I am afraid of heights, like I'm terrified of heights, though I'm a climbing, zip wire and abseiling instructor, and I actually want to do a halo jump with the RAF for charity. Don't know if it's ever going to happen. If anybody knows I can make that happen, let me know. But I want to do a halo jump, which is a high altitude, low opening jump, which is like 30,000 feet. You have to have oxygen, right? I want to do that. But I'm afraid of heights, right? So how does that make sense? Because I am actually afraid of heights. I walked at Penny Van and I wouldn't even go to the side because I was terrified. And then there's Jess and I see another guy sat on a bloody cliff edge, yeah, having a cup of tea. And he's dangling his feet. And he's got like, 1,000 meters below his feet. And I'm just like, no thanks. But I want to do that. So I think it's just little things that you've just got to write down, what you want to become confident with. And you just have to do it.
Yeah, if you do a little bit of something that teaches you a little bit of something, you learn something small every day, it all builds up, rather than just doing one thing that you still just learn one thing from.
I think that is just the biggest thing when it comes to confidence, is just bloody do it. Because it's realizing what is the worst thing that can happen. What is the worst thing that can happen? I mean, don't get me wrong. If I go
parachute might not open.
Exactly. Yeah.
Jam.
But then I'm strawberry jam. But
you tried though.
You tried. Put that on my tombstone. I think that's the biggest. But confidence is the biggest thing, and having the confidence to be able to say, do you know what? I do charge this much. If you don't like it, that's fine. See you later. There's someone in the world. There's 8 billion people. There's someone in the world going to pay me. But I think that confidence is the key to success in every single realm. If you're not confident, would you succeed? I don't really want to be mean, but I don't think so. You need to have that kind of not down confidence. You need to have that. Yeah, I don't know what I'm trying to say. You need to be confident to be successful. I genuinely believe it. Not necessarily outwardly confident, like a really outgoing person.
Not overly confident.
Yeah, but you need to have confidence in yourself.
You've got to back yourself.
If nothing else, yeah, you've got to back yourself. I'm not saying you have to be so confident you can go out and do anything. I'm not saying you have to be like, arrogantly confident. But you have to be confident enough that you know that you can achieve what you put your mind to. And you've got to put the work in as well. I think that this is the thing, this is what I was saying, but when I first went self-employed, I didn't put the work in. I just kind of played about and I was like, I'm self-employed. Whoa. I don't have to go to work tomorrow. Whoa. I don't have anybody telling me what to do. And actually, I do have someone telling me what to do, and it's me. And that's really cliche, but I am my own boss, and I now act as if I'm my own boss. I have KPIs that I write out every month that I will respond to every Friday. I do my own check-ins as well. I do my own business check-ins sporadically and quite consistently, where I go, right, what went well this week? What didn't go so well? Where did this come in? Where could I have improved? All these little things. And I think that's what people fail with being self-employed, is they just go into it and go, Matt, cool. You introduced me to that new bloody app, about expenses and stuff. Yeah.
Thing, yeah.
And it's just constantly doing things that's going to improve your business, but people tend to forget that they are a business.
Similarly with the confidence thing, doing a little bit like that pie app, you do a little bit every day. And then you save yourself work in the long run. You haven't got to do a day or a couple of days a year to do all your taxes, blah, blah, blah.
I think people just think that sometimes you've got to take a massive leap. And sometimes you do. Sometimes you have got to do a leap of faith. Right? There are times where you just got to do it. Other times you can just take little tiny baby steps, and they will lead to something. What is it? Action beats inaction every time.
Isn't the leap just starting though?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Have you ever done a leap of faith? You know, like the trapeze, where you have to climb up at the top of a tree and then you jump to the little thing. See, because if I did a little step there, it wouldn't have worked. But
yeah, true.
Then I guess the little steps are climbing up the ladder to get to the top, and then you jump, and that's where you take the big leap. And that's what I did here. You know, I was slowly building at my previous gym, and throughout my experience and stuff, I was slowly building. And then Tuesday, I took the leap. And then the next Tuesday, I'd signed the lease. So it was literally within a week. So that's the big leap. And that's the leap of faith. But you take small steps to get up to that point.
Yeah, true. So you're not at the top of the ladder, because there's probably another ladder now.
Oh, yeah, God, no, yeah.
Like jumped. Maybe it was a big jump to the next ladder.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's a big thing. And what's your I think I've already said this, but what's your biggest, at the moment anyway, what is your biggest issue that you're facing in the business world? If you have one. Maybe you're not. Maybe you're having such a good time as a business owner. But what do you think?
I would say it's not an issue. I think you can look at it as a good thing. But it's so saturated.
Everything's saturated though.
Yeah. But at the same time, you could look at it as like, you could just work together rather than being competition. I think that's where the networking thing comes in. Like, you just meet as many people as you can and be matey with as many people as you can. And I think ultimately you'll get more work from that.
Have you ever heard of... Go on.
Than thinking that they're your competition or enemies, or you've got to beat them sort of things.
Have you ever heard of the saying, your network is your net worth?
Yes.
Yes, I love that saying because I think it's really important. So I am taking steps at the moment to build my network because, like you say, we're not in competition with each other. My old manager at JD used to say that you're not in competition. You've all got the same goal. Don't get me wrong, we are in competition with each other to try and pay my bills. But we can work together to pay my bills.
They also can't have all the clients in the world, though.
Absolutely. But here's the thing, right? So I need, maybe you need 20, 30, 40 people max, right? Maybe you want to be one of these online coaches with 250 people. But if you can do that, then hats off to you, because that's a lot of admin. But you need a very, 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 very small percentage of people to pay you to be able to live your life the way you want to live it, And competition is a very interesting thing. I think when it comes to business especially, competition is a very interesting thing, because if you look at all of that, and again, I'm bringing it back to fitness because it's easier for me. If you look at all the gyms in Cheltenham, right, we worked this out, 14 odd gyms in Cheltenham in like a small square mileage, but they're not in competition with each other because they're all providing the same sort of thing. They're all providing a gym for people to go and be better and healthier with, but they're in competition in terms of, well, they need to make money. I guess it's a bit of a sticky one with the whole competition thing, right?
Yeah, no, but you can also work, like, there's people working together in teams. There's bigger productions where there's 10, 15 camera people, multiple editors. This is
the thing with being a second shooter, right? So when I worked with a lot of wedding people, I was more of a second shooter than I was the guy. But we're not in competition with each other. We want the same thing.
Yeah.
And we're going to then help someone by working together rather than being annoyed that someone else got a shoot when I didn't, sort of thing.
The only reason we'll use the job with Kip, for example, is because of networking, helping other people get work. They help me get work. Everyone just helps each other out. It's
not what you know, it's who you know. Absolutely.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, because you could be the best, like you said earlier, you could be the best editor ever, but if you don't know anyone, you're not going to get any work.
Yeah, absolutely. And really, and that's where that saying of network is net worth. And I really think it is about who you know. Because unfortunately, well, the other side goes, you could be the worst person in the world, but you know everybody.
Yeah.
So you can get work. You can, you could be literally awful at whatever your chosen field is. No offense.
But you're really likable and you know everyone, and they're like, well, yeah, just you have that.
Yeah, exactly. And there's coaches like that in the world who, and at least I know that from the coach point of view. But there's obviously people like that in the world. People who are very incompetent at their job, but they're C-suite, executives because of the people that they know. Yeah. But I think that's it more so in the content creation space is that, yes, you should all be working together because you need 15 people on a shoot sometimes. You can't run a 10 camera shoot on your own. You could do if you were a director and then you've got lots of people below you, or working with you. But competition, I guess, it's different in every aspect.
It also pushes you, though. If there was no competition, you'd stay as good as you were forever.
Absolutely.
You're not going to get any better.
That's what I mean. Comfort kills progress, or there is a saying to that. Comfort kills something. But if you were so comfortable all the time, you'd get complacent. And then you would never keep growing because you've got nothing to strive towards, And if you've got someone else trying to get the job, well, you're going to try and get that job more. So you're going to put more effort into getting that job.
You're going to keep getting better and better.
I guess that's the it's so hard when it comes to talking about business because there's so many caveats and pivots and so many this could be this and this could be that. And it's not fact. It's very much a matter of opinion, I think, for a lot of people.
I think that makes it better though, because if there was one blueprint and one way to do it all, then everybody would do it.
Oh God, yeah. What I mean though is I can say that comfort zones kill success. But then someone else can say, yeah, but if you're really comfortable, it means you can perform better in your chosen field because you're comfortable how you do what you're doing.
Yeah, and success looks different to different people.
Exactly.
Anyway.
The success looks different to me than it does to you, than
success
it looks
to somebody could be sitting on the sofa because they've worked 20 hours in a week and they've made all the money that they need to pay their bills.
Yeah.
And they can just chill and eat crisps and stuff.
Absolutely love. No, I don't think I would actually. I was going to say I'd absolutely love to do nothing and get paid loads.
No, that sounds
But I think I always say this to a few people. Some people, some of my friends and some of my old clients were like, I'm going to retire in a few years. I can't imagine retiring. I'd get bored. Obviously, I'm 27 years old. So the thought of retiring is kind of terrifying because I think I'd get bored. But in 40 years' time, 50 years' time, when I'm ready to retire, maybe my mindset will be different. But right now, I'm enjoying putting in all the work.
It gives you this purpose, isn't it?
It is purpose. It is purpose. And it's purpose for you to keep going and moving forward. And that's sometimes, like I said earlier, you can't have a good day every day. Some days are down days. Last week for me was a really busy week of, networking and contacting different companies and getting my name out there. Did I make any money from that? No. But will I eventually? Hopefully. So in my mindset, I was like, well, I haven't made any extra money this week. Oh, God, I hate everything and everything's going wrong. And maybe I'm not. It's imposter syndrome. Do you find you have imposter syndrome? A lot of business people do.
Yeah, all the time. Especially when I'm trying to make some sort of social media stuff. I'm always like, who is this guy trying to give people advice? Why have I got any sort of, who am I sort of thing?
Who am I? I'm a champion. Yeah, I guess that's the thing though, is it's a lot of, I don't think I'm right for this. I think someone else is better than me. I always think it. I'm like, well, I would like to think that I'm amazing all the time, but I'm not stupid. I'm not the best person to ever come to the fitness industry. But I think imposter syndrome is massive for me. I really struggle with imposter syndrome because I always think, well, I don't deserve it. I am not good enough. I'm not working hard enough. I'm taking too much rest, even though I'm not resting.
Yeah, I feel like if you work for yourself, you can't give yourself a well done for doing something right. Because you don't overthink it and it's like, well, that's not right.
You're too focused on the next thing.
Yeah.
I don't look back enough. I'm very much a victim of looking at how far I've got to go, not how far I've come.
Yeah, if you stop now and you look at what you've got and what you've done without looking forward, you've done really well and you're in a place that you want to be in.
Yeah.
But you probably don't think that ever.
Yeah, this is the thing because you're constantly trying to improve. And that's what I think most business people is they're always trying to figure out what they can do to be better. Yeah. What can I do to make more money? What can I do to be fitter? What can I do to be healthier? What can I do to make more friends? But they're not looking at where they've come, which is my biggest thing. I'm not looking at where I've come from. And that 3 years ago, I just started, in fact, 4 years ago, I was just about to pass my level 2 fitness instructor qualification. Mm-hmm. I'd really just met Jess and things were, not in the best place. I wasn't in the best place mentally. And, I was playing at a few different jobs and, I couldn't stick at anything. And I didn't know what I wanted to do still. And then I met Jess and, we started doing the whole fitness thing. And then I finally got a job in May of 2022 in a gym. if you look at where I've come since May 2022, holy guacamole, I'm a different human being. If you look at where I've come from August 2025, I'm a different human being, So but actually taking that time to look back it doesn't happen.
No, I think we need to be more conscious of it just in general. Yeah, like if you look at anybody a year ago, they're a completely different person.
What's your biggest piece of advice for anybody who wants to start business, but because you're a videographer, I'm going to call you a content creator, or is that rude? Because you do create content.
I do create content, yeah, but I think content creators more looked at of the people
influencers
on the screen.
Influencers
like you.
Yeah, I'm a gym-fluencer. What are you about? So in business, but also in the videography, photography, filmmaking space, what is your biggest takeaway? Before we do advice, what is your biggest takeaway / what have you learned the most? What's your biggest wow moment?
You don't need masses of money to start. Everybody's got a pretty solid camera in your phone, in your pocket now, on your phone, and you can actually make good stuff with that. So if you're in a position and you're like, I want to start, but I don't have like the means to start, you do. It's there.
You do.
You can make it.
Wasn't 28 years later filmed on an iPhone?
It's filmed on about 50 of them.
But it was filmed on an iPhone.
On an iPhone with like a 40 grand lens.
Oh.
So yes and no. Like
it was filmed on an iPhone.
The thought was there. The thought was in the iPhone, but then they rigged it up with.
There's definitely got to be movies that are filmed on iPhone 15s for sure, like good quality movies. Yeah. So And what do you think is your biggest piece of business advice generally to anybody wanting to start a business? I can hear the cogs turning.
Financially, or just like
just in general. Like, what's your big? If someone was to come to you today for business advice and say, "Hey, Kai, I see you've got a business, and you are a business person, because that's what you are, down and dirty. Is you are a businessman. What?" I class you as that. I class anybody who runs a business as a business person. What would your advice be to that person who asked you for business advice?
Okay, let's put you as a parent as well. Make it even harder. Just work, even if you've got like half an hour a day, just to be typing stuff down, applying for stuff, networking. Just use that little bit of time to work on your business, as opposed to scrolling. But a lot of people say that they haven't got time to do it. But a lot of people's screen time is
redonkulous.
5 hours, 6 hours. That 5-6 hours you could use way more efficiently. So just use your time better spent.
Time management, I think, is a massive thing when it comes to being a business person anyway. I think going back to what I was saying earlier on about being my own boss and not really putting the effort in and not putting the work in. And now I think now my time management is so much better than it was when I first started. Yeah. My time management was horrendous. I'd spend hours on things that I didn't spend hours on, and the stuff that I did need to, I didn't even think about. But your thing is just do it, right? In theory, just do it.
Put one foot in front of the other.
Put one foot in front of the other, but
and you'll get somewhere eventually, even if it's slow.
Yeah,
slow's fine. Slow's better than being stagnant and not moving at all.
Yeah, slow movement is better than no movement. But the thing is, I think you say about just using that half an hour that you might have. It's people making excuses and saying they don't have enough time. Like, I think a lot of people, and this is what we'll probably end on, is a lot of people will make an excuse more than they'll make progress.
That might also be an imposter syndrome thing, though. Maybe they're making excuses because they think that they're not good enough, perhaps. I hadn't thought about it that way. That's a really good point, actually. But what I find is maybe, actually, because like I was going to say, a lot of people make excuses, and if they spent as much time making excuses as making moves, they'd probably be in a much different place. It's like people moaning that they're too busy. If you're too busy, why you got time to moan that you're too busy? Just do what you're busy with.
We've all got the same 24 hours in a day, Queen. Yeah, no, I think that a lot of the time it can be dealt with imposter syndrome, but I think there are also people who just they would much. There's a very interesting book called the what is it? The Courage to be Disliked. That's what I'm looking for. And a lot of people, their issues benefit them in some sort of way. And this, I'm very much dumbing it down. Go and read the book if you want to. Not sponsored. But it was very much the guy in the book was saying that whatever you're dealing with probably benefits you in some way. And there was like this story about this girl who had a fear of blushing, so she never asked this guy out because she was so afraid of blushing, and that was always her excuse, that was her reason. But it benefited her because she didn't have to, she had this idea in her head that maybe they'll be together one day. I never know what's going to happen. But what benefited her about her blushing and having a fear of blushing was the fact that she didn't have to find out he didn't fancy her. So she didn't have to find out the correct answer, a bit like Schrodinger's cat, I guess. The answer was very much, it could be, couldn't be. You know, there might be a cat in the box, there might not be a cat in the box. But because she didn't open the box, because she didn't go and ask him, because she was afraid of blushing, she never had to find out the bad answer. But then this guy asked her out. So her fear of blushing just totally went away because she wasn't afraid of it anymore, because she knew the answer.
Yeah.
And I think that for a lot of people, it benefits them in some sort of way. A bit of a harsh way of saying things, but you know, a lot of things benefit people, even if it's not an actual benefit. It benefits them because they don't have to do the hard things, or they don't have to do the things that would actually work really well for them. They just can't be asked to. You know, I think that is a little bit harsh, but I think it's true. Have you got anything you would like to add to the end of the podcast? Talk to the viewers. Talk to me. Talk to future you.
No, I don't.
No? All right, well. Make sure you follow Kai on social media. I don't think I've said this in any of the other episodes at the moment, but make sure that you're following us, the Flex Appeal podcast. Us? Me. I'm on my own now.
I'm the next host.
Exactly. God, we're grooming him to be the next host of the Flex Appeal podcast. #1 fitness podcast in the world eventually. I'm going to keep saying that until it happens. You watch this space. Because when I accept my award for having the best fitness podcast in the world, I am going to play this video. Like every time I've said #1 fitness podcast in the world eventually. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. I appreciate you all for being here. Make sure you leave likes, comments, subscribe, follow, download. I don't really know how it all works still. Maybe I should look into it. But if you are also able to leave us a review or a little 5 stars on Instagram, not Instagram, well, maybe you can do it on Instagram, on Spotify, then please do that. There's other listening platforms available. But thank you very much for coming on. And I think maybe we've given a little bit of insight into business and stuff like that. Maybe we've just rambled on about a lot of rubbish. Who knows? I guess we'll find out in the comments when we get abused or praised. Who knows? Congratulations on going full-time in your dream job.
Thank you very much.
Thanks
for having me.
And maybe one day we'll get back on here and we'll talk about something else. Or talk about how far we've come, and when I'm the #1 fitness podcast
in the world,
and you're the #1 challenge videographer in the world.
No fingers because they've all been frostbitten.
You should ask Kit if she wants to do like South America and do it with her.
I don't think she wants to do another one.
Valid. Valid. So valid.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next episode of the Flex Appeal podcast. Thank you, Kai. Goodbye. Oh, that rhymed.
Bye-bye.
I'm a poet and I didn't even know it.
He's a funny guy.
Oh, God. That banana. Oh, my legs. Oh, my legs.
It wasn't recording this whole time.